Welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
Hi, and welcome back to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and today we are going to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart, and I am sure yours. We have with us today Alex Casini, who is a holistic nutritionist who works with women to optimize their gut health and hormones and has done for the past 5 years. She's also someone that I have known for many years, going so far back to our children's theater days. Yes, that is very true. We met many moons ago. She is someone that I love and adore, and we've worked with each other in the fitness industry. And now she is here on What's the Word to talk about the word Nourish, which means by definition, providing with food or other substances necessary for growth, health, and good condition, or to keep a feeling or a belief in one's mind, typically for a long time. So with no further ado, I am going to bring her here. Alex, welcome. So happy to have you here. How are you doing, my love?
I'm good. I am so excited to be here today. I am talking about one of my favorite subjects, nutrition and nourishing. So it's great.
Yay! Okay, so let's just dive right in. We'll go into our little backstory in a bit, but let's just dive right in. And can you tell me, what does the word nourish mean to you, and how do you utilize it in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I love the word nourish. I mean, how do you feel when you even say that word, right? And I ask my clients that, and I ask myself that too, when I'm not feeling great, when I'm feeling off, when my clients are feeling off, I ask them, what foods feel nourishing to the body and the mind and the soul? Like, what foods are going to make you feel good before, during, and after you eat them? Because that's what's really is what it's about, is what, making choices from that intention of what's going to nourish me in this moment and support me to where I need to go next.
I love that. And I think so often we just focus on, when we think of nourishment, right? Like the foods. I think about this with my child, right? Who just turned 5, where I'm consistently telling her, okay, make sure you eat your veggies and all these things that in fact are absolutely true. But oftentimes nourishment is so much more, right? It's the intention behind it. It's the bigger picture, because if we just eat with intention in the moment, that cookie that I just powered down, or that third cup of coffee, or the extra glass of wine can, in the moment, feel quite nourishing. So, do you have any tips for anyone listening on how to make it a long-term nourish? Like, how do we nourish ourselves long-term? And you're really good at keeping things simple. I love that you have that kind of psychology behind everything you do, is let's keep it simple.
Mhm. Well, and that's really the key, is going back to, okay, slowing down. It's hard to do, right? That simple thing of slowing down is like, yeah, easier said than done, right? And I think I just mentioned this the other day, the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. So how quickly are you getting out of your car? How quickly are you getting out of bed? How quickly are you trying to fall asleep but can't seem to do it, right? It's how can we slow things down to become more aware of how our body's feeling after we do something, right? And like you said, is that cup of coffee, like asking, is this really what I need to nourish myself? Not right now, not just right now, but for the rest of the day, for the rest of the evening. Is it going to keep me up at night? Is it going to disrupt my sleep? Is it going to, make me feel more anxious, actually? So it's really about bringing that intention back and that awareness to, this piece of cake. Like, am I celebrating with this piece of cake, or am I bored? Am I feeling guilty? Am I shaming myself? Like, what is the intention behind what we're choosing to do to nourish ourselves, not just in the moment, but in the long run? How are we going to feel after we do this action?
I love it. And now I have to ask you, with your own journey, because for anyone that doesn't know, I met Alex many, many moons ago, teaching in children's theater. And then we reconnected working at a restaurant. And then we reconnected when I worked with the Skinny Confidential. And Alex helped me literally pump out, I don't even know, hundreds of workouts. It was unbelievably amazing. And now here we are all these years later. when we talk about the word nourish, I can say for myself 100%. I used to be a sugarholic. Had a lot of hormonal issues, gut issues, a lot of things that I had to work through over time. And I'm just curious, this is obviously near and dear to your heart as well. Were you someone that always was nourishing, kind of properly, or did you learn this through the years of your own experience?
So funny you asked that, I have the goosebumps all over my body and like the tears like come behind the eyes, is because this is really dear to my heart. I'm not sure if you know this, I don't know if I've told you about this, but I had a pretty bad eating disorder. I lived in LA for about 10 years and I wasn't nourishing my body. And what was crazy is I was in the wellness world. I was a trainer. I was helping women with their nutrition. And it's funny, some will reach back out to me and it's great that I'm giving them great advice, but I'm not taking any of the advice, which is ironic, right? And, I wasn't eating. I was scared to eat a banana because I had too much sugar in it. I was working out 2 hours a day. And this training world made it seem like this was the healthy, nourishing thing to do for the body. But I was not sleeping well. I lost my period for years. My gut health was a mess. And I would talk to doctors and they're like, you're great. You're young. You're healthy. This is all good. Like, you're fine. Like, why do you want a period? And I'm like, no, like, I actually want babies. And like, I'm anxious all the time. And I just don't feel good. And so I took it upon myself. I said, I started talking to clients and realized a lot of women were feeling the same thing I was feeling. And I was like, something's not right here. And that's so how I started to get more into the holistic nutrition world, how I started to get more into functional medicine and hormones and gut health. And then also going back to the foundations, right? Of sleeping, breathing properly, eating nutrients, and drinking water, right?
Mhm.
So yes, it's clearly I get very passionate
Mm.
because it's like, I want to help. I don't want people to have to suffer the way I suffered, so.
Same. Wow. Well, that is very powerful. And no, I did not know that. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and open. And that's something I love about this community that we're creating in self care and bringing everyone together to share the reality of the stories, that it's not all that it just perfectly looks on Instagram sometimes, that it's not just this curated thing. However, all of us are going to go through struggles one way or the other. And so what we choose to do to put that foot forward is really what's going to be. I love how you said what you do, like one thing you do is how you're going to do everything. And it's really true. It's like how you start your day inevitably is going to affect the rest of your day. If you have a nighttime ritual, same thing. So when it comes to nourishing, and you brought up gut health, which is, I feel like, the hottest topic right now, right? Uh, is there anything that you want to tap into on gut health or hormones, or just for anyone that's listening right now that their ears are perked up going, yes, I've struggled with maybe a relationship to food or something similar to what you and I have just discussed. Is there anything that you'd like to share?
Yes. So I had a client the other day say that they just wanted to, get their gut health a little bit better, feel a little bit better. And they went online and started educating themselves. And they started getting really overwhelmed because they were reading things that everything was good and everything was bad, right? The fish, meat, vegetables, nightshades, those different things. And it gets really overwhelming, which can actually cause more inflammation and more stress on your hormones in the gut. So I always recommend starting really simple, taking one thing and changing it day by day. If you change one thing a week, you'll have 52 new habits in a year. So really starting small, and whether it's, again, the foundations of water, nutrients, sleep, and oxygen, just starting really, really simple is where you need to start. Because chances are all the details, you might not even need to deal with those yet until you build a nice, strong foundation.
I love that. Yes. So for anyone listening, I agree 100%. What Alex is saying is exactly what we teach in my self-care courses, is about literally getting as granular as we can with making these baby step changes, tiny little things over time, and then they will compound. And through that, you will learn so much about yourself. When you take a pause, like Alex said, and you slow down, all of us, I know I catch myself all the time and have to say, okay, come to a full stop at the stop sign. It's one of my friends, we joke and we're like, did you come to a full, complete stop? And it's an ongoing thing, but so often we are so busy running around doing this, being distracted, whatever else. And then there is so much information out there, and there's so much value in that we have it. at the same time, there can be devalue when we're confused and lost. Like my mom going to the store, grabbing me one quick thing of oat milk, and she's like, there's 800 ones. Like, I don't know. Right. And one has 30 grams of sugar per serving and one has 6 grams of sugar per serving. But if she doesn't know, it's confusing. So I also would love for you to share, kind of what you're sharing right now is so brilliant. And I want to add upon that. So when it comes to gut or hormonal health, what are just any of the like common things that you see? What do you see so often? Is there like a trend right now, just in general?
Yeah. Well, and what's so great too, or great, I don't know if you call it great, but everything's interconnected in the body, right? So if you start to support the gut, you're going to support your hormones and vice versa. So
Mhm.
with some of the biggest things I see my clients making and people making in general is doing too much too soon, which we kind of talked about, right? Like just starting really simple, starting really basic. It's not sexy, but it works.
Mhm.
And another thing I see people doing is just moving too quickly, right?
Yeah.
When we eat too quickly, to hold on and not get too sciencey on everyone, that our body's in two different nervous system modes. And if we're eating in a quick fight or flight nervous system mode because we're emailing or we're driving or we're talking to our kids or thinking about the terrible conversation we had, right?
Like that's like
It's
me.
it's yeah, we're gonna be in a stressful state and our metabolism's not gonna work properly and our digestive system's gonna slow down and that causes the gas and the bloating and the acid reflux and constipation. And so really just eating as slowly as you can. And again, starting out that even slowly, like maybe it takes you 10 minutes to eat. Can you now last for 15 minutes? Can you set down the fork in between your bite? Can you swallow before you take another bite, right? Can you chew a little bit longer? So it's just certain ways to find what's going to work for you in your unique lifestyle to just slow you down a little bit.
Wow. Okay. Well, I will wholeheartedly admit that I am that person, and I'm sure I'm not alone. That's,
Mhm.
schlepping the kids, dropping this off, going to this client, going to that one. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so hungry. And here, I'm going to admit this. I'm someone that not every day, but every so often on a day like truthfully today, which is ironic because I'm talking to you, is right before this call, I realized, oh no, it was too short of a window. I didn't have time to eat. So I powered down some food really quick, which isn't ideal. And I just want to say to anyone's listening that, it's never too late to make these changes. And also, like Alex is saying, the smaller we can get, the more likely it is to stick. And it's okay if you make a mistake. Like, I'm admitting today that was, sometimes you have those days and it's either like, do I skip the meal or do I power something down? Because, so let me ask you, do you skip the meal if you can't be slow? Or do you chug it down?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great one. That's actually a great question. I haven't been asked that question. I would say honestly, oh, because I have so many clients who have really late night cravings, and I have so many clients who forget to eat or they don't eat, and then they eat a whole bunch of not so great stuff later in the day. I
Mhm.
would almost say it's better for you to like power down some food, like a quick banana or some nuts or something to either one, hold you over or, get the food in because the cravings in the later in the day sometimes happen because we didn't eat enough fuel earlier on in the day. So our body's now craving this energy. So we're now eating like anything we can get our hands on, which usually isn't the greatest option. And so it's like, and then we don't feel good after that, right? Because we're like, oh no, I ate chips, but I was just so hungry. And then you feel bad, like you did something wrong, but you didn't do anything wrong. That's just science. Like your body wanted energy. And the quickest form of that is usually quick carbs. And that it
Mhm.
just is what it is.
Wow.
So
Okay. So now, okay. Thank you for saying that because yeah. So I powered down a big cup of soup, and I mean it was delicious, and I think that it was absolutely worth it. You just talked about something that I hear with almost every client of mine across the board is when they're starting a new program or they're doing something, and they're making some habit changes. They start to notice that they're getting these cravings because a lot of the times we're working through eliminating or lowering, I should say, our sugar consumption. And a lot of the times throughout the day, they'll start to feel for the first 7 days of doing something like this. Okay, I'm feeling kind of cranky, grumpy, tired, lethargic. Da, 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 da. Do you have any tips for someone that's listening? I specifically know of people that are in my course right now that are going to hear this and their ears are going to go, "Ooh, that's me." For when we get those kind of later in the day cravings, or what would you suggest people start doing to just kind of avoid that altogether?
Yeah, so definitely, as we spoke about earlier on, is that awareness piece, right? So first be like, oh, I'm having these cravings again, or I'm feeling cranky and crabby. What did my day look like earlier? Did I eat enough food? Did I have breakfast? Ask yourself questions. So I
Mhm.
would start there. And if you have that craving, have a piece of fruit. Aim for better, not perfect, is what I say. So get a piece of fruit with some peanut butter or almond butter. Get something that's going to satisfy and nourish you in that moment, but also nourish you after you eat it as well. And have like a little quick list of things that you enjoy eating like that. That can be easy and simple and nourishing and help you feel good. But honestly, it's usually I would say probably about 85% of the time, people aren't eating enough food earlier on in the day and enough of that nourishing food that's really
Mhm.
going to satisfy, like, enough complex carbs and protein and healthy fats and vegetables that they're later on just going to have cravings in the evenings, even though we're like, why? Like, we just ate a whole dinner. It's like, well, there's lots of reasons, but that's one of them. So.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so now in summary of all of this, right? Like you've given so many beautiful tips today, like slowing down, chewing your food, like just to kind of wrap this in someone's brain. So whether they're driving, walking, watching this in between things, whatever it may be, what would be the biggest takeaways that you want someone to get from
Ooh.
this podcast?
Probably, probably one is to move slower, eat slower, do as many things as you can slower, and see and make it an experiment, right? Test it. How did my day look like today when I moved a little slower? How did I feel? How did I interact with people? How does it look when I go slower?
Mhm.
And that's going to support your gut. It's going to support your hormones. It's going to support your joy. And two, I would say we didn't really mention this, but to eat breakfast and try to have a protein and a fiber in that breakfast, because again, that's going to prevent you from, based off of research, prevent you from overeating, reduce any sugar cravings. It's going to also satisfy those hunger cues and your hunger levels. And then third, I would say to drink water. Again, I know it's said a lot of times, but it's because it's a real important thing. We need water for energy, for soft skin, for eyes, to reduce headaches, to help with bowel movements, to help, with our hormones. So going slower, eating breakfast that has protein and fiber in it, and drinking water.
Oh, love, love, love. Okay, so thank you for sharing all of this. And now I just want to know, where are you? I know that you're in San Francisco Bay Area, and I know you've done training for many years. Now you're more focused on women's health and the gut and hormones. And I also know that I feel like you've gone a couple little videos that are getting some viral traction on TikTok over here. So where can we find you? Where's the best place that we can find you and just kind of follow your journey and also, connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. I did hop on the TikTok trend. I'm not famous yet.
Just yet.
And then in TikTok, I'm actually doing a 31-day thing on how to reduce sugar cravings currently, for January. And then also on Instagram, Alex Casini Wellness, and as well as my website, alexcasini.com. And I'm here to help with questions or comments. And, we talked about, I think earlier, Jaime, that I think I know what people want, but I've been living in this world for so long that sometimes I want to know what you guys need, right? I forget that I drink water and it's easy for me, but it may be more challenging for you. And I want to teach you how to just add more water to your day in your own unique way. And so feel free to comment, questions, all that fun stuff on any of those
I
sites.
love it. Okay. And I'll be sharing everything, but also you just tapped into water. So like I have come up with some kind of like my own little gimmicks that seem to work for me that I usually, will try to train my clients to do or do something similar. One of them with water is I tell them every single time they grab a glass of water, right? Like whenever it is, to on their hand, one hand count to 10. And there's something like as simple as this is, by just using your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, as you're drinking the water, it does something. And I'm noticing and I'm laughing because I thought, well, that was just this silly thing. But I want people to know that, whatever we can come up with, whether it's an acronym, whether it's setting a phone alarm, whether it's having an accountability water buddy. Like, do you have anything that works for you that's kind of like, or some, it doesn't have to be a water thing, but is there anything that you've found along the way where you're like, oh, well, this is a simple little hack here?
So funny you say that because I do that in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm going to pick a number from 1 to 10 and that's the number I'm going to chug for. So, and sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 7 and I just chug, which is funny. And I also at one point had a water accountability buddy when the pandemic first started, and we would send each other like selfies and be like, oh, your turn to chug, your turn to chug. And it was just like, it was just fun, you know? And it's like, so nice to just hear from somebody, you know, and it's kind of funny. And I'll send it to my clients. Sometimes I'll send a picture of me drinking water or the water itself and be like, your turn, like drink some water, right?
I love that.
It's just like, it's great ways. And like you said, if it's in your calendar, reminders or what, you know, having a water right by your bed and before you get out of bed, you drink that water, you know? So yeah,
I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Any final words about Nourish that you want to share, or just any final thoughts?
Just to keep it simple. I know we said it, but keep it simple and just, you know, what's going to nourish you today and tomorrow, and do that.
I love it. Alex, it is so wonderful to see you. And stay tuned, everyone, on What's the Word, because you'll be hearing more from Alex. We'll probably be teaming up again on some other fun goodies. But Alex, you are such a light to this world. Thank you for all you do, for all you share, and just for being on here today. So I look forward to seeing you in person, I hope soon, because it's been way too long. Yeah, way too long. But thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.